Knicks, huge Game 4 win at Madison Square Garden Monday night. They get 20 plus from Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. The third quarter from Brunson, the fourth quarter from Bridges, and just the defense all around. A really, really strong home win. And Kris, I want to start with you, man. What was your big takeaway from watching that game?
Just the Villanova Wildcats know when to show up, man. They know when to get things done. They know when it's crunch time, when it's time to really hone in and focus on the task at hand. And we've seen it nightly from Jalen, and then Mikal comes over this season, and now everybody's able to witness it as well with Josh. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing, and it's great to see just the toughness and the togetherness that those guys have just brought to the NBA.
Yeah, I'm sure Knick fans would agree with you, Kris. And just for the audience, I just want to apologize for Chris's hoodie. We tried to negotiate that change
Let's go,
before the show,
Birds.
but we couldn't get it done. So I'm sorry about that. John, like when you were putting together the newsletter and when you kind of came down off cloud nine, how did you analyze what you saw?
I'm not sure I'm down from there quite yet. Look, I mean, to me, this was a win that was 7 months in the making. Look, they traded for Karl Anthony Towns late in training camp, and immediately you figured, all right, this is going to be a genuine title contender. I think they started the year off something like plus 700 or plus 750 odds to win the whole thing. Those were, like about the third or maybe fourth best odds in the entire league. And then they got off to a very, an okay start. The offense certainly looked great early on. And then that started to subside. Defense was not great. And then as the season went on, I think, someone in my position who was preaching patience to a lot of this fan base and give this thing time, give it time to come together, give these guys time to develop cohesion, a lot of defensive communication issues throughout the year, as you've reported on consistently. And we kind of then got to the end of the regular season with this Detroit series, on deck and saying, well, wait a minute, when has this team actually showed us that they're capable of putting together 48 minutes of solid basketball against a top tier competition? And I don't think we had that evidence. And even after they won the Detroit series in 6 games, and I'll even throw in the first 2 games against Boston, we were still waiting for them to come out and give us a serious performance for the vast majority of a 48-minute game. And I think last night, for me at least, represented the first time that they were able to do that. And I can't help but think of what Kris just said. Villanova Wildcats, you guys have a knack for showing up when it counts the most, when the lights are brightest, when the stage is the biggest. It's funny how Villanova guys seem to come up with their best stuff, and that was certainly the case last night.
And I kind of see it the way you see it, John, just in terms of maybe this was the vision from the organization when they did what they did over the summer, because you got contributions from everybody that you brought in. And I know Karl Towns had an up and down game, but I think James Edwards brought it up last night for The Athletic. We were watching the game together. We kept saying like how Karl was coming out on the perimeter, and look, Jason Tatum was trying to drive, and Karl Towns got a couple of good contests there, and obviously has good help behind him. But I think you give Towns a lot of credit for what he did in those moments. OG Anunoby, obviously big shots. We hit on Bridges, we hit on Brunson. And so, Kris, for you, like when you talk about Villanova, I guess I just want to know what's the connective tissue there that allows these guys on the Knicks to perform in the big spots?
Well, I mean, part of the reason why you go to Villanova is so that you can play in these big time games and you can be used to these environments. And, the Big East tournament is in the Garden every single year. You play St. John's in the Garden, at least once a year. So you're used to playing in these high pressure situations. So just moving forward, these guys are getting better. They've gotten more mature. Their games have grown, and they're just going to continue to gel and get better. And like you said, they traded for Cat towards the end of training camp. So this is their first season together still. So they're only going to continue to grow and get better, hopefully. And the front office, as they continue to put players and coaches and everybody in place to move forward in the right direction. Knicks fans, I feel like you guys can only be excited because, like I said, this is their first year together, and you can see the strides that they're making, and hopefully they can just continue to grow and get better, because that's also a big part of what you learn at Villanova is how to continue to put yourself in the best situations, in the most difficult situations, so that when it's time to thrive, not only are you a better person, a better player, you're a great teammate, and then you bring these guys along with you. Because at Villanova, again, it's not just about how good you are. If you're that good, if you're what everyone says you are, then like Coach Wright used to tell us, take some of these guys with you and bring some of these guys along.
Porzingis, Kristaps Porzingis afterwards, and he just said, like, we were hoping to get 2 here, but Jalen Brunson, unreal player, special player. And, you know, you've seen it. If you're watching this team, since they signed Brunson, you've seen it time and time again, to the point where maybe you're almost spoiled. I would say don't take it for granted, though. But, Chris, you know, the clutch factor, right, the it factor that, you know, we try to define, but it's hard for outsiders to define. Did you see that from Jalen in college?
No, absolutely, man. When Jalen first came in, he started on our championship team as a freshman, and that says a lot about him as a person and as a player, because that's tough to do at Villanova, to come in and start as a freshman, and he did that on a championship team. So you saw the maturity, you saw the work ethic, and you saw just how serious he was about the game and his craft. So this is no surprise. Like I said, you go to Villanova and you're put in these moments and these situations on purpose, and it's one of the reasons why you choose to go there. And he's just thriving in where he's feel comfortable. I know Knicks fans, like you said, you guys have seen it all year. The game is going to get close, and you're going to give the ball to Jalen Brunson. That's just kind of how it works. And he's going to continue to do that. He's going to continue to grow and get better as a player. But, I mean, in the fourth quarter, in the crunch time, he knows that's where your bread is buttered. And he knows that's when it's really, really time to get to it and get down to the nitty-gritty. And he's always ready to go.
I mean, just to give you an idea, a little context of how good Brunson has been, how often the ball has been in his hands, and how good he's been in the fourth quarter. He's got the most fourth quarter points through the first 10 games of an NBA playoffs all time with 102. That's 2 ahead of Kobe Bryant, who had 100 in 2003. And you're seeing so many stats like that where it's like Jalen Brunson and then 2 or 3 all-time greats. And it's just, yeah, it's remarkable to see. And, John, just for you, when you kind of extrapolate this out and you look big picture at where the Knicks are, and where they've been. And I made the point last night, lottery night was often the most exciting night of the Knicks season for a long time. And it was true, obviously, last night too, but for different reasons. And it's because of Brunson. I mean, could you summarize like the path that he's led this franchise on to where they are a win away from the conference finals, first time in 25 years?
I could try. I mean, let's not forget that, the summer that Jalen came here, I know obviously there's a perception, and it's not totally incorrect, that this era of Knicks basketball started when Leon came aboard and obviously hired Tibbs and Julius and the whole thing. But they, like, after that We Here season, they were back in the lottery. And, they made some moves to free up some money and bring Jalen aboard. And yet that first year, and Ian, I know you remember this weekend well, there was that loss to the Dallas Mavericks. I think it dropped them to 10-13, and there was a lot of noise in the air about which way this thing could go. And I will never forget, Jalen Brunson stood up in front of, or sat down in front of the microphone after that game when everybody was figuring that maybe, Tibbs was on his last legs, and said, "This is on us. We got to figure this out, and we can do it, and we will do it." And they went out and won 8 straight. And in some ways, they've kind of never looked back. And I think I give, obviously, all the credit in the world to Jalen because, he's played, last night was his 34th playoff game with the Knicks. He's averaging over 30 points over those 34 playoff games. I mean, this is Kobe, Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan level scoring we're seeing here. But also credit to the front office, because I think once they realized, and they realized pretty soon, what they had with this player and with this leader, every move that they have made, almost without exception, has been with an eye on how can we maximize Jalen Brunson's window here? How can we give him the best chance to bring a championship to this franchise? And, you know, you have to have a lot of belief to think that, hey, we have the guy. You know, we got to figure out what to put around him. But we know we have the number one. And that was, you know, that was far from a consensus opinion as recently as like a year or two ago. So, again, give credit to Leon Rose. I mean, obviously, there's I think, a bit of a relationship there that existed before Brunson came aboard. But still, you know, it's his job on the line. And he put it all out there, and I think it's paid off.
And I wanted to get to Kris on Mikal Bridges because, Kris, I don't know how much you're paying attention to fans and media and the reactions over the course of the season, but Bridges took a lot of criticism, some fairly, some unfairly, because of what the Knicks traded to get him. And then his performance on offense and defense, it was uneven. Some nights it was fantastic. Some nights it wasn't there. And it was easy to look at him as kind of the, if you wanted to point a finger, the reason for why the Knicks had such inconsistency. He didn't trade himself for 5 first-round picks, so I think it's a little bit unfair. But even with that, like you expected a lot from Bridges. And then I just want to know, like, he's bounced back in a huge way in the playoffs. So for you to watch what he's done in the postseason after kind of the roller coaster regular season, does that remind you of the player, the person you saw in college, where he could just kind of stay steady amid whatever was going on the outside?
Yeah, nah, that's it's just awesome to see because Mikal works extremely hard. You know, he's extremely confident in himself, and he believes in not only himself, his teammates, but the work that he puts in, and he's been like that ever since I've known him. So I remember him coming in his freshman year of college, and he had the red shirt, and to see him go through that, to see him push, get better, and to see where he is now, I just knew it was only a matter of time before he put it all together. Just because, you know what I'm saying, when you're a player, you have ups and downs, and that's just what comes with the territory. So it's your job to not get too high and not get too low. And Mikal does a great job of that. And it was awesome to see him continue to play well and move forward and strive to be the best version of himself. And last night was just a stepping stone for him.
One other one on Mikal, Kris. Like, we see the defense now, off-ball defense, the steals. Was he tough to play against scrimmages? Did he guard you ever? Like, what was that like going up against him?
Yeah, you know, Mikal was always a very, very good defender. So to see him giving people in the NBA trouble now is actually hilarious because, you know, in practice and things of that nature, you get a chance to be guarded by everybody in the Villanova system. And usually Mikal guards the best player. And with all the guys that I played with in college, obviously I was never the best player, but it still tends to happen just because of how things work out. So it's just awesome to see him terrorizing everybody else now, and those long, lanky arms just in the way. That's a great way to describe him on defense. He plays tough, and he's just in the way.